Barbara, welcome. I'm so thrilled that we are getting to do this today. Last time I saw you, we were in the tank together and we had some exciting moments. You gave me a really sassy look at one point, but we had so much fun. It was so much fun. And I'm so thrilled because we've got this amazing group of young leaders that are going to be so excited to hear from you. And a lot of them have been working on actually their own pitches and pitching their own ideas and products. And I would love to just hear from you some suggestions that what they could do to actually improve their pitches and make them even better.
Mm-hmm. Well, not hearing the pitches, it has to be a general comment or two, but you always want to respond to the individual who's pitching and the words they actually say. But in an overall sense, I could tell you what bugs me and things I don't buy into is when the person doing the pitching talks too much. Terrible. I think you have to make your 3 major points on the front side and then spend the rest of the time supporting those major points. The next thing is I think you have to look the part. If you're selling a new food service, you better have an apron on. You can't be looking too fancy.
Or in our case, remember the guy who had the food science and then took that off? I thought that was kind of a good pitch too.
It was a pitch, but he didn't look the part once he took it off, right?
Right.
Yeah. So you have to look the part. But more importantly than all of the above is you have to know who you're pitching to. For you to go into a group you're pitching to and not understand their profile, what they like, what they turned down, what they bought into before, you're missing half the package. Because you might as well just go out in the street and start shouting your pitch. You need to tailor your pitch to the person who's listening. And what's the number one question they all have on their mind in common is, how do I make money? How do I make money?
Yeah, exactly. I think those are great. And I look at it and I think, one, what you just said is so important, being concise. Really having that, they call it an elevator pitch for a reason in a lot of ways, because you should be able to give it by the time the elevator comes from one floor to the other. It shouldn't be that long. You should be able to have it very, very, condensed. But I love to also see somebody who's being disruptive in whatever industry that they're in, that they're doing something unique and filling a void in the market. And I always like to say, for me, when I started my business, it was, I thought, I was missing something that I couldn't find out there. And a lot of times when somebody can really hone in on that, that's super important. And then a passionate founder. I think so many of us as investors now, business can be hard. And no matter how great your idea or product is, if you don't have that drive and that stamina and that perseverance to see it through, because there's lots of peaks and valleys, as we know, those are also key things that I look for in a founder. But I like what you just said on the pitch itself, which I think is so great. So,
Kendra, one other thing I'm thinking to piggyback on what you're saying. Myself, I love something disruptive, but ironically, in the 12 years I've been on Shark Tank, every disruptive business I invested in never made it. I like much more than disruptive, a entrepreneur who not only has passion, but I like an entrepreneur that on first sight, I think I have a loser. And I know that sounds weird, but it's a different kind of passion. It's a passion that comes with someone who has never been successful and is digging his way out of a hole and has something to prove. Those are consistently the best businesses I've invested in over the years where I'm making all my money. On the loser that has something to prove, who doesn't have a new idea, but just a better way of doing an old idea. So I'm biased maybe a little bit more in the other direction, just by the force of my experience now, being on the show so many years.
Well, and you have a lot of experience. I'm like, we were joking when I got into the tank that I was the baby shark. And through all of these very, throughout the various pitches and how many we got to see and just watching you and the other sharks. I mean, you've been doing this for so many years. And I think that insight is so important. One of the things that, Kevin said too was, he liked me because I had a failure, similar to what you're saying is, the person who has gone through that struggle of having a loss or a failure or a business not succeed and trying to come out of it and then prove yourself, you have a different type of fire in your belly because you don't want that to ever happen again, or you want to overcome this last failure in a way that shows success. So I do think that there's something really interesting about what you're saying. And I agree that so many times when you see an entrepreneur that's never done anything or thinks, and we saw this in the tank, they know it all, but they haven't gone through that struggle, or they're not able to have that 360 perspective of their business, can also be something that I kind of get a little worried about.
Yes, I think you would agree with me when you sense arrogance in any form on that set. You know something's wrong. I always put my money right in my pocket right away.
So, okay, so you look for these, you look for the pitch, you're looking for the three things you mentioned that I think are so important for our students to remember. You're looking for somebody who potentially has gone through failure. What other things that you're looking for to go, okay, when you're looking at the numbers, whatever it might be, what are some other things that these students could think about knowing? And I loved what you said about knowing who you're pitching to, which is also incredibly important. But when they're really fine-tuning that for their idea or their business, what other things do you really look for that could help them?
Someone who is overprepared, grossly overprepared. I'll demonstrate that by example. I bought into a business named Cousin's Maine Lobster. They had been in business 3 months when they were on Shark Tank. They had sales on their one truck in LA for 3 months, and they were spectacular sales for a 3-month period. Here's the rub, though. They hid one fact. They didn't say they had been in business 3 months. They simply quoted their monthly sales, and all the sharks fell for it. That was clever positioning. But much more importantly, after I closed on that business, and I think I spent $50,000 on a third of their shop, I found out in the due diligence, they had watched every season of Shark Tank for the 5 years leading up to them. And they had written down every question every shark had ever asked on the show. And they wrote 3 alternate answers to each question. And they each practiced answering and decided who would answer that question. And when they put their feet in that arena on Shark Tank, no surprise that we all thought they had been in business for years. They were rock solid on their feet. They were the least likely people to be interpreted that way, but their over preparation came through for them. Every answer was perfect, just what we wanted to hear. And of course, with that kind of a work ethic, what do you think happened to that business? They're now like a $82 million business, franchises all over the country, also restaurants. They're rocket entrepreneurs, but they're over-preparers in everything they do. That's the way they approach their business. I can't underestimate. That's a gross, exaggerated example of my best entrepreneurs, but they all prepared. And so over-preparation, I am just a believer in, very much so.
And I think that's such a great thing to really, dig in with our students, is that, you have got to really think about everything you do and go beyond. There's a saying called fake it till you make it. And a lot of entrepreneurs can, and that is a great example, but faking it but doing it where you're really doing your research, really looking into what you're supposed to do is clear. I mean, I remember selling into Nordstrom, same thing. And they had no idea that I was still shipping out of my dining room. I wasn't going to tell them that. And I think I'd shared that funny story with you where they called, my mom answered the phone and they needed shipping and receiving. And she picked it up like she'd been doing it all day saying, Janet, this is shipping and receiving, right? But it was part of that of, we are going to know everything we need to know so that we can sell into one of the major retailers in the world. And they believed in our ability to do it. And we did it. We never were late on a shipment. We did what we were supposed to do. So I agree with you 100%. I think that's such an important thing for everyone to know is do your homework. And here are students, they don't want to hear that probably, but do your homework, right?
That's not homework.
Okay, I've got some more questions for you. Okay, so you just talked about this incredible company. Was there anyone else on Shark Tank that you felt like the pitch just blew you away? And what were maybe some of the elements of that pitch that blew you away?
Yeah, 2 seasons ago, I was pitched by two brothers. One was a photographer and one was unemployed for a long time. They were called the Comfy Brothers. And when they came on the set, they sang a jingle. They were hysterical, pure entertainment value. And I thought, okay, this is one of the pitches that the producer put on to entertain the folks at home. But when we asked our usual questions, what are your sales? None. What does it cost to make? We don't know. They had handmade, 2 comfies, handmade, which was an oversized wearable blanket with a hood. Okay. And then we said, who are you going to sell them to? We don't know. But the world is going to love them and we're going to make a fortune. Well, they were laughed almost off the set until I gave them the $50,000 for a third of their business. They wanted to sell 5%, I think. I'll take a third for $50,000. Truthfully, I was buying in, not because I really thought I'd be making money with them, if ever, okay? But I was buying in because I thought they deserved to be rewarded for putting on a good show on Shark Tank. We're all vested. And I thought that'd be a fun guys to have a beer with.
I love it. A $50,000 beer.
Well, they were great guys, you could tell. Not businessmen, but great guys. They have $87 million in sales in their third year. I've made more money with them than any other investment in all the years I've been on Shark Tank. Did I see that coming? Definitely not. Did every other shark laugh them off the set? Absolutely. And they deserve to be laughed off because they were very funny and not serious. But lo and behold, they were right on their long-term view that the world would fall in love with the Comfy. And it's the hottest item and doubles every month in sales. It's remarkable. And if I put their profits, their alone profits, combined with all the other 88 businesses I bought on Shark Tank, they make more money for me than all 88 together. So go figure. Is there a rhyme or reason to why some things happen? No, miracles happen. And that for me was a miracle. And for them too. They're more surprised than I am.
That's an amazing story. And, I think right now with COVID and all of us at home, nothing sounds more appealing to me than a blanket with a hood on it. So I mean, after we're done, I think sales are going to go up even more because I want one of those right now.
You should have one. They're so fun to wear. They're great. Yeah.
Okay. That's going to be the next thing I need to see you in, Barbara, is your hooded blanket. And
go on my social media. I'm always in it. Come on, wear them well.
So, when I was in the tank and we were able to see this episode 2 of season 12, and I really felt like Ellie with Boudet Bag really came in. She was super prepared. She was very honest about her, what they were doing right and where she needed help. And I really appreciated that. I appreciated her integrity of being able to be transparent while still showing that strength and her ability to overcome. I don't know, that was a moment for both of us. I think all of the sharks were pretty engaged and intrigued by her pitch. She had great product. What I really loved about her, though, beyond the product, was she had an ability to engage people and her customer and harness what I was really saying was almost like a movement, which is a really remarkable thing for an entrepreneur. When we were in there together, we were almost partners in that business. And I remember us looking at each other like going, because one day, if I get to come back in the tank with you, maybe, will you give me another chance to maybe be your partner?
Oh, you don't have to worry about that at all. I like to fly alone anyway. It was my attempt to make you feel comfortable. And there was one piece of her that when you decided to take the whole deal out yourself, that gave me a note of relief, honestly, between us with talking as girls. Girl power is, she was a privileged child. She had raised a lot of money to get that disruptive business up and going. And I have found that most privileged children don't have the equal shot at making a big success as the underprivileged person that has nothing, nowhere to go but up. And so there was a touch of arrogance between the lines. Maybe you didn't feel it. I felt it. And I think it came from the attitude that she had arrived there. And I think she arrived there with a lot of help. And so for me, I didn't want to lose it, but I thought maybe I dodged a bullet on this one. So you'll have to let me know how you do.
Wrong on that one.
Prove
Oh,
me
Barbara,
wrong.
I can't wait to prove you wrong on that one. I love her. She is spunky. She's going to sell lots of underwear.
Just as well, you send me the first financial statement.
Okay, I'll do it. I'll do it just for you.
A little harsher than you are on things.
I have one last question, because I know we're limited on time. I could literally talk with you all day, and I know the students that are watching this are like, more. But one question, I want to know a little fun fact that you can tell me, tell our audience about behind the scenes at Shark Tank. Any favorite stories, anything that, you know, we don't get, the normal person doesn't get to see, that you get to experience with your 9 seasons, right, on Shark Tank?
Yes, no, there's been 12 seasons, actually. I've been on from day one. Two things immediately came to mind, all right. One was the naked model.
Yeah.
Because one night they walked a naked man right out on a art sketching business, and he was butt naked. Totally naked and good looking. Of course, I could almost not concentrate, all right. When they showed it on air, they put a grape leaf there. They zoomed it in or something. But I still, to this day, can't imagine how they got that through Disney and legal. To this day, how did they do that? But that was the most shocking moment. But the most surprising moment behind the scenes, I must say, was 3 smart guys walked in and made a pitch. I don't even remember what the pitch was. They were into the pitch 5 minutes. They were doing a spectacular job. One guy talked, and the next guy talked, and then the third guy goes to talk and faints. Well, we knew it was a gimmick. It was hysterical. We couldn't stop laughing until they brought in a stretcher and took him out. He had really fainted from the pressure. And so I assumed, because we never had that before, that we'd wait until they came back in and pitched again. And that's when I discovered what reality TV is all about. It's real. There was no second chance. It was a reality TV show. And so those poor 3 guys left and never got the chance again. And so crazy things happen on sets, but that was so discouraging for me that day. And what an unfortunate experience that the kid was not good under pressure. Really, yeah, really shocking. Yeah.
An article came out this past week about my stomach flipping in the tank and my hand shaking. And it's a very intimidating space. And all of you are such powerful, amazing people. And for a lot of these, entrepreneurs, this is they feel is maybe their first or only chance to get their business off the ground. But, I know that, you've got this side of you that can be such a tough, shark, but you are also one of the kindest people. And you were so incredibly kind and welcoming and made me feel so comfortable in the tank. And you helped my stomach quit flipping and my hands quit shaking with your nods of encouragement. You'd throw me a smile here and there. You'd give me a positive look, and you have no idea how much that meant to me. And I think, the Women's Entrepreneur Leadership Institute is truly about that. It's women supporting women, no matter where they are or what's going on in their life. And I want you to know that you are one of those women for me. And I'm just so glad that we got to share your story today with these students. And I think it's a great message for these students out here that women, when we hold hands, when we lift each other up, truly anything is possible. We can overcome so much and to continue to support each other. So thank you for being here today and sharing your time and helping us get our students ready for their big pitch.
Okay, well, your students are dreaming and they're putting the action behind the dream. And I can tell you, every time I stepped forward in building my own empire and making myself rich, it was a result of reaching out and helping the next guy. It all comes back. There is a universe out there, as you well know. Yeah. And so, I hope your people not only are so concerned about making their own pitch, but what could I do for the next guy? What could I do for the next guy? Because it always comes back. It always comes back. It's just, life is fair like that, you know?
Is good things happen to good people. I say it all the time. And I think it's such a great thing to be able to use the things that your knowledge and to help others. So, and that's what you've done today. So Barbara, thank you. I hope to see you in the tank in the future.
And thank you for all the people listening. I hope I made your time worthwhile today. Thank you, Kendra.
You absolutely did. Thanks, Barbara. Have a great day.
Ciao.
Hi, Kendra. Hi, ladies. Sorry I couldn't be there on the panel, but I'm sending this message from my bed. Well, why? Because I was able to record this during one of my Bed Talks Instagram live series. So, hello, and I wanted to do a quick shout out to all of you with one of my best pieces of advice for women. Don't think of yourself as a woman in business. Think of yourself as a person in business, as good as, if not better, than anyone else. Be confident in who you are and what you can do, because I know for sure if you have a dream and you have drive, you can make anything happen. Hope you all have a great day. Sending love. Bye-bye.